Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to talk to you today about a very serious issue. And of course, this is the topic everywhere in Uganda at the moment. That is the elections due next year, in particular the presidential elections. As you know, many of the prospective presidential candidates are picking nomination forms from the Uganda Electoral Commission. Again, you know that I'm not physically in Uganda at the moment. Thirdly, you know that President Yoweri Museveni has picked up nomination forms through a proxy. He sent one of his members of NRM to pick nomination forms for him. As of yesterday at 10 a.m., that is yesterday at 10 a.m., the rules of the Uganda Electoral Commission did not bar anyone to send a proxy or a messenger to pick up forms for them. And the only requirement was that whoever is sending should have authorized that person to pick up forms for him, and the person picking up the forms should be able to have proper identification. Now, I emphasize that, proper identification. Yesterday, I sent some of my supporters, led by Mr. Frank Bulira, to the Electoral Commission with a letter of authority from me to pick up nomination forms on my behalf, which is perfectly legal and which has been done before. I also sent the same letter by email to the Uganda Electoral Commission. When my people arrived at the Uganda Electoral Commission, there was a bit of confusion because they did not expect Dr. Kiyingi is going to come and pick up nomination forms. They were told to identify themselves, which they did. And Mr. Bulira had his passport, Uganda passport, which is the ultimate form of identification in any country. He was asked to produce his ID card, which he did not have. He was asked whether he was a registered voter. And yes, he said he was a registered voter, and he is a registered voter. However, they asked him for his registration card as a voter, which was totally unnecessary and has not been done before when other proxies go and pick up forms. He was told to wait, and during that time, the members of the Electoral Commission were consulting their master dictator Yoweri Museveni on what to do. Within a few minutes, after about half an hour or so, the whole place was surrounded by military personnel, fully armed, ready for war. I find this very disturbing. How could they send military people, fully armed, because Dr. Kiyingi has sent a member of the public to pick up nomination forms for him? They asked if they had my ID card. Of course not. And that's not a prerequisite for picking up forms. The Electoral Commission has got regulations and requirements for prospective candidates. And the time for the Electoral Commission to check that a prospective candidate fulfills or has all the necessary requirements is when that candidate hands in the duly filled out nomination forms. It's not the business of the Electoral Commission to ask at this particular time. And if I'd got the nomination forms, I would have followed it to the letter, all the requirements. And by the time I would have handed the nomination forms in, all the requirements would have been fulfilled. And we know that they did not do this out of good faith. This was the shortcut to block me from standing for President of Uganda next year. This is absolute cowardice, and this is absolute dictatorship. Museveni cannot even bear have a proper contest with me because he knows I'll win. And therefore, the easy way out is to block me altogether from standing by denying me the right to get nomination forms and by harassing and intimidating my supporters. They were going to be arrested by the armed personnel. The only thing that saved them was the heavy presence of reporters and the media. So they backed off. But they were going to arrest them. For what? Because they've been sent by Dr. Kiyingi to pick up nomination forms? Fellow Ugandans, this confirms what I've been saying all along, that this man is a coward. This man is an absolute dictator. This man has got no respect for democracy. This man has got no respect for Ugandans. This man has got no respect for Uganda. He's selfish, he's corrupt, he's a thief. And therefore, he's trying to block me challenging him, knowing that I'm going to give him a run for his money. Many people have been asking me over the last 18 hours what I am going to do. But let me tell you this. If Dictator Museveni thinks that by blocking my nomination, by blocking my going back to Uganda, he will have a safe ride, he's fooling himself. In real fact, this is now the very beginning of the contest between me and the dictator Museveni. It's not the end. It is the beginning. And I'd like to call upon Ugandans. I'd like to call upon well-wishers. I would like to call upon the international community. I'd like to call upon the neighboring countries of Uganda that this is the time to disown this man. This is the time to disown Dictator Yoweri Museveni. The people of Uganda, the majority, are fully behind me. And I do not think that Dictator Yoweri Museveni has the capacity to put down more than 70 million people. And if he continues to be stubborn, if he continues to block my supporters, if he continues to threaten my supporters, and if he continues to block my return to Uganda, then there are constitutional means of removing a president enshrined in the Constitution that he signed himself. Because the Constitution empowers the population. The Constitution of Uganda empowers Ugandans. That if everything else fails, if Parliament has failed them, if the government has failed them, if the President has abrogated the Constitution, then the Constitution empowers the people of Uganda to use any means available to them to effect a change to save the country. There will be more pronouncements on the way forward. But in the meantime, I want to call upon all of you Ugandans not to lose heart. I want to call upon all of you Ugandans that this is the time now to stand up. This is the time to join me to get rid of dictator Yoweri Museveni from power and save the nation. God bless you all.